here, and Ryan Clark up with us early, and let's run the hurry up today, RC, and let's begin in Cleveland. We have an injury situation there with the quarterback Kenny Pickett. So until his return, Joe Flacco is getting the majority of QB1 reps, and my question is, should Shedeur Sanders be getting some of those as well?
Yes, I think Shedeur Sanders should be getting some of those reps, but also Dylan Gabriel. Listen, you have three quarterbacks in that room, and none of those quarterbacks right now has signified to you or done what's needed to be the day one starter. So with Kenny Pickett out, why not see what some of the rookies have, see what Shedeur Sanders can be, see what Dylan Gabriel could be, because I've always believed they need to figure out the tier of quarterback, who's the best vet, who's the best rookie, and go into the season with some sense of how you'll move forward.
How about it, Mike T?
Yeah, I agree. And I think Shedeur Sanders, RC, wins that battle with Dylan Gabriel. He's a bigger player, and to me, has much more of a chance to be a better NFL player. You go back, guys, and look what he did in college. He completed over 70% of his passes. He had 65 touchdowns, over 8 yards per attempt with a 6'2 frame. I think there's a lot of upside there. If I'm Cleveland, I want to see him out there as quickly as possible.
And there are folks who are tracking these things, and I don't. You tell me how significant I should make these numbers. But yesterday in practice, he was 6 out of 9 was Flacco. 9 out of 9 was Shedeur Sanders yesterday with 2 touchdowns. Now again, he's not playing QB1, so I assume this is not playing with the ones against the ones and all the rest of that, but it is what it is.
You know what's interesting about this is Tom Brady is his mentor. Tom Brady talked about what got him through the day at Michigan when he was the 8th straight. He would talk about, hey, if I got 2 reps, they were the 2 best reps on the planet. That's exactly what Shedeur Sanders has to do. Stack one good day on top of the next, more reps will come.
All right, so that's one situation we have an eye on. Another one is in Jacksonville, where the Jaguars say they're going to play Travis Hunter on both offense and defense in Friday night's scrimmage. Mike T, should he play both ways this season?
I would play him at corner. We were around Darrelle Revis, who overcame some coaching by Rex Ryan to turn out to be a pretty good player. And I would sprinkle him in at receiver, but I know what it's like to have a dominant, difference-making corner. It makes your whole defense better. Give him 10, 15 plays a game at receiver over the course of the season. Let him be dominant at one side.
RC, what do you think? Can he possibly go both ways for a season?
Yes, I think he can play both ways, but he has to have spot duty on one side of the football. And that side of the football should be offense. Listen, I posted something this week of Travis breaking up a football, and I said to the world, I'm going to die on the hill that Travis Hunter is a primary corner, that Travis Hunter gets to show you that he has Hall of Fame talent at that position. He reminds me so much of Champ Bailey, long arms, rangy, closes on the football, extreme ball skills. And if people who don't know Champ Bailey, he ends up being a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's exactly who Travis Hunter is. All of his attributes and measurables make him elite at the cornerback position, not as much at wide receiver.
Spoken like a true DB there.
Yeah.
By the way, Travis Kelce making a really good point about the idea of playing both sides of the ball. He mentioned, I found it's fascinating, he mentioned the idea of guys just running deep routes on him on defense all day to try to wear him down so he's tired on offense too. Like, fascinating point of strategy by Kelce there.
To me, this is the most interesting story of the entire NFL preseason, is whether or not this player can do something that hasn't been done in the league literally in 60 years. We'll wait and see. Meanwhile, Jeff, another situation yesterday we had our eye on. It looked like there was a serious injury in Dallas, and it turns out not to have been quite as bad as initially feared. That's their starting left tackle, Tyler Guyton. Turns out he sustained a bone fracture in practice that will not require surgery, is expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. That's the good news, considering initially they thought it was an ACL. So the question is, when healthy, how good does this offense look?
Well, I think they look really good, but you just said something incredibly important there, when healthy. If they're healthy, they can be really good, but if ifs were fifths, we'd all be drunk, Greeny. So the question here, of course, is how healthy can they stay? Because top-end talent-wise, they do have what it takes. The problem is the depth, and by the way, that's what happens when you drag out negotiations and pay people top-end dollar and don't have depth.
That's a professional segue that we make to the Cowboys offseason, being highlighted, of course, by the Micah Parsons situation and the standoff for the contract. Fans, you may have seen this over the weekend, were expressing their frustration on Saturday, chanting, "Pay Micah," at practice. The executive vice president, Stephen Jones, heard those fans on Saturday. When asked about it, he said, "It doesn't change anything. We want to pay Micah too. He's got to want to be paid too." Stephen A. Smith heard that. He didn't like it.
That is one of the most ignorant statements I've ever heard come out of the mouth of an executive. Stephen Jones, respect to you, my brother. But if it wasn't for your daddy, would you be a CEO, a COO in the NFL? Would you be? Did you want the job? Did you earn it? Come on now, let's go. Hey, I'm back. I'm back. It's the truth. It's the truth. I ain't knocking it. I ain't knocking it. You understand? I ain't knocking it. Every parent is entitled to look out for their child. But it's important that the child recognizes you were born on third base. Don't act like you hit a triple.
My favorite part of that is he started it with respect to you and then went on to say that. But look, I'm trying to figure out what I think it is Stephen Jones was trying to say when he said that. What do we know?
Well, I mean, there's two implications to that. One of which is Micah is asking for too much money, or Micah simply isn't negotiating and wants to get to free agency. From what I understand, the best premise there would be he's asking for too much money in the eyes of Stephen Jones, because he very much wants to stay with the Cowboys under contract. It, of course, is a perplexing comment because very clearly they could have paid Micah Parsons a certain amount 1 year ago, decided not to. That price tag goes up every time, for instance, TJ Watt getting paid. Somebody gets paid at the position. So I can assure you of this, Micah Parsons does, breaking news, want to be paid.
So the other way one could interpret that, and I'm going to do the worst thing you can do, which is I'm just going to guess what he might be meaning. So don't take this as though I'm reporting it happened. But if I'm Micah Parsons, it would make sense to me. He knows, just as we know, that the price tag keeps going up every time a deal gets done. So I think C.D. Lamb at one point, all the reporting was that he wants to wait until Justin Jefferson does his deal, and then he knows he'll wind up getting top dollar. Maybe what Stephen Jones is alluding to is that Micah Parsons hasn't been in a hurry to get this deal done because look at all the things that have happened. Myles Garrett got paid, and T.J. Watt got paid, and the price tag went skyrocketing up.
Let's assume your guess is correct. Part of being in the front office, Greeny, is to be the strategist and be proactive and say, hey, we are going to create a sense of urgency. Guess what, Micah? And RC, you've heard me say this before. We're going to get in a room and we're going to throw so much guaranteed money at you that even though you're right, Greeny, strategically it makes sense to wait. We're going to give you so much guaranteed money you can't say no. And to give credit to Philadelphia, they use a very similar approach. They go early, they give the player enough guaranteed money, they say yes, and then they win on the average per year. But when you do this over and over again, if Micah Parsons was an outlier, it's survivable. But to Jeff's point he made, when C.D. Lamb's at the top of the market and Dak Prescott, it eviscerates your middle class, it eviscerates your depth and your ability to keep other good players. So to me, I would figure out a way to say to Micah, we're going to make this work for you because Nick Bosa's at $34 million, and we're not leaving until we get a deal done.
And they didn't do that, and so now the number goes into the 40s. RC, what's your take on the whole thing?
Never knew that diarrhea of the mouth was a hereditary trait. I didn't know that could be passed down from father to son. And maybe it's a learned behavior because you actually don't have to talk in that manner. You can actually be tight-lipped about negotiations. You don't have to feel like I have to win the war of the words through the media. And if you look at Micah Parsons and his behavior throughout the entire offseason, I don't know what the negotiations sound like, but when you look at the optics, he's gone to offseason. He's offseason practices. He's been at minicamp, even if not participating. He's now at training camp. And so if you look at Micah Parsons, he's saying, I want to be here. Let's get this deal done so I can put on pads and move forward. And now when you have executives saying things like, well, I heard a louder crowd from last year when they were saying pay Lamb. It's just murmurs when I listen to what's being said or what's being screamed or what's being cheered by Micah Parsons. Why do you want to put the bear? Because here's what we know. He is the best player on your team when you take out position. He is one of the best players at his position on his side of the football in all of the world. And you're going to pay him. So why do this publicly to get one of your best players, one of your locker room leaders to feel like you don't want him, you don't respect him, you don't value him? It's not good football, and it's certainly not good business.
That's a really good point, and I'm glad that you made it. We all know this deal's going to get done. We all know they're going to wind up on the same side. You don't want to be in a situation where the hard feelings linger. What's the final thought?
You know, I just think that if the Cowboys are watching this, if Stephen Jones is watching, he's saying, well, at one side of your mouth, you're saying we shouldn't pay players too much so we have depth. At the other side, you're saying you've got to pay this guy. The answer here is just pay these guys sooner.
Right.
Yes.
At this point, you got to take your medicine. You got to pay them.
Correct.
But in the future, just pay them sooner. You learned your lesson.
Well, but I mean, no, they didn't learn their lesson
No, they
because
didn't.
they do
You're
it
right.
every single year. This is the strategy. Kevin Clark said it right on this show about a year ago or so. He said the Cowboys act like expensive players, really great players, are going to get cheaper as time goes on.